In a move that surprised many fans and analysts alike, the Chicago Bears have officially extended general manager Ryan Poles through 2029. This move marks a bold and risky commitment, as it comes with 2 years still remaining on his current contract. For a franchise still clawing its way out of a prolonged rebuilding phase, the timing and reasoning behind this decision deserve careful scrutiny. Poles, who took over in 2022, has posted a 15-36 record during his tenure. On paper, that track record hardly screams franchise savior. Yet the Bears' leadership has chosen to double down. Why? The answer appears rooted in a growing belief in organizational alignment. With head coach Ben Johnson recently signed to a 5-year deal, the Bears have now placed both of their top football decision makers on the same timeline. This strategic synchrony could be key to future success. Johnson wasn't in the building when Poles was hired. He wasn't there when Caleb Williams was drafted. But from all indications, he has signed off on Poles' continued role. Johnson reportedly commands more financial pull within the organization than Poles, which strongly suggests that he approved this extension. This may indicate growing synergy between two vital figures at Hollis Hall. Yet it remains a gamble. Poles' critics are quick to point to high-profile missteps, failed coaching hires, questionable trades, and underwhelming draft picks. But even skeptics would admit that the Bears have shown signs of turning the corner. Their new coaching staff appears poised to maximize a young and talented roster. And for the first time in years, the Bears have avoided the trap of misaligned timelines between GM and head coach. Before we dive into the rest of the updates, make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and tap the bell icon so you never miss the latest Chicago Bears news. Let's build this community of Bears fans who are passionate, informed, and ready to roar into the 2025 season. The Bears' decision to extend Poles boils down to a classic NFL calculus. Do the pros outweigh the cons? Let's begin with the positives. Poles inherited a bloated, aging roster with minimal cap space and very few building blocks. In just over 2 seasons, he has managed to pivot the franchise into one of the most financially flexible and youth-driven teams in the league. His handling of dead cap space, veteran contracts, and short-term deals allowed the Bears to reload, not just rebuild. From a personnel standpoint, there have been bright spots. Drafting right tackle Darnell Wright looks like a long-term win. The trade for Joe Thuney, followed by a smart 2-year extension, has shored up the offensive line. Signing Drew Dalman in free agency addressed a long-standing issue at center, and bringing in Jonah Jackson added depth and familiarity for Ben Johnson. Poles has clearly taken the offensive line more seriously this offseason than in previous years. Past experiments like Lucas Patrick and Ryan Bates fell flat. But 2025 looks different. The front five is finally built to protect rookie quarterback Caleb Williams and create running lanes for Roshan Johnson and others. Still, there have been major misfires. The Chase Claypool trade was a fiasco from the jump, with Chicago surrendering valuable draft capital for what turned out to be a locker room distraction and underperformer. Nate Davis, another big money signing, didn't show the desire or durability needed for a long-term role. And the team's track record in the third round of the draft has been especially poor. Velus Jones is already off the roster. Zach Pickens and Karana Megaji are question marks. That kind of inconsistency in the mid to late rounds will cost a team dearly over time. Another criticism? Poles' loyalty. He stood by Matt Eberflus longer than most thought wise. Eberflus' tenure was marked by poor in-game decisions and a regression in defensive cohesion. Was Poles handcuffed by ownership, or did he truly believe in Eberflus longer than logic warranted? We may never know for certain, but it raises eyebrows. But here's where things shift. Ben Johnson's arrival changed the landscape. Johnson is not just an offensive innovator. He's also seen as a leader capable of rebuilding locker room culture. His comfort with polls, his willingness to go on record supporting the GM, lends legitimacy to the extension. It speaks to a unified vision. That vision is showing on the field too. Draft picks like Braxton Jones 5th round and Roshan Johnson 4th round are developing well. The UDFA signings of Jack Sanborn and Jalen Jones gave the Bears useful snaps over multiple seasons. Poles isn't perfect, but he's shown the ability to course correct. Let's pause for a moment. If you're enjoying this breakdown and want to stay ahead of all Bears developments, don't forget to subscribe and become part of this growing community of diehard Chicago fans. This is where we break the news, offer analysis, and spark real football conversations. Now, let's continue. Ryan Poles' extension is more than just a new contract. It's a declaration of faith by the Bears front office. Faith in a plan, faith in a pairing, and most of all, faith in timing. The alignment of GM and head coach cannot be overstated. For decades, the Bears have wrestled with front office chaos. The GM would hire a coach who didn't match the vision. A quarterback would arrive under one regime and be abandoned by the next. That confusion, that lack of cohesion, has stunted this team for years. Now, for the first time in recent memory, there's clarity. Poles and Johnson are on the same page. Their contracts expire together. Their fates are tied. Caleb Williams may ultimately be the hinge upon which this entire era swings. If Williams develops into a franchise quarterback, it will mask a multitude of sins. Even Poles' critics would concede that landing a generational QB covers flaws elsewhere. It gives a team breathing room to figure out the rest. But the inverse is true as well. If Caleb falters, if Johnson's offense sputters, the spotlight will shine brighter on the front office. Every failed free agent deal, every missed draft pick will be relitigated. The Bears aren't alone in making big gambles. The Bengals extended Zach Taylor and built around Joe Burrow. They've seen a mix of success and disappointment. But in doing so, they gave themselves a window, a legitimate shot. That's what Poles and Johnson now have in Chicago. A window. And to Poles' credit, he's maximized financial flexibility while building a sustainable foundation. The team is no longer handcuffed by dead money and bad contracts. There's talent across the board, especially on offense. And with a new defensive mind in Dennis Allen, the hope is that balance finally returns to Chicago football. Time will be the judge. But one thing is clear. The Bears are no longer dabbling in half measures. They've committed to Poles, to Johnson, to Williams, and to a future that, for once, feels aligned. The Chicago Bears have made their position clear. They're not waiting around for things to maybe come together. By extending Ryan Poles and aligning his timeline with head coach Ben Johnson, the franchise has taken a bold and calculated risk, one rooted in belief, strategy, and the pursuit of long-term stability. Yes, Poles has had his missteps, but he's also shown growth, adaptability, and a willingness to correct past mistakes. The offensive line is finally being addressed with intent. Young talent is emerging across both sides of the ball. And perhaps most importantly, the culture around Hollis Hall feels different, focused, serious, and aligned. This move won't silence critics, and it doesn't guarantee success. But it does offer a unified direction, something the Bears have lacked for years. The decision now moves the spotlight to the field, where Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams will need to validate this organizational bet. If they succeed, this could be the foundation of a new Bears era, one defined not by chaos and resets, but by sustained competitiveness. The message is loud and clear from Chicago's front office. We're all in. So what do you think? Was this extension the right move? Sound off in the comments below. And before you go, make sure to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications so you never miss another Chicago Bears update. Bear down.